Minutes after the hour of 12 noon. A very good Wednesday to you, November the 4th, 1987. Welcome. I am Bob Lassiter with you until 4, as I am every weekday right here at the Talk of Tampa Bay, WFLA. I have a guest in studio. His name is William Baker. He's a former college professor in the fields of biblical history and apologetics. His educational background includes Cincinnati Bible Seminary, Ozark Bible College, the Near East Institute of Archaeology, Jerusalem, Israel. He has participated in major archaeological excavations in the Middle East. He has written and produced television and radio programs dealing with the area of Christian apologetics and the Middle East, and is the author of a book known as Theft of a Nation. Mr. Baker, I welcome you to WFLA.
Thank you, Bob.
First of all, what are apologetics?
Yeah, apologetics is the line of reasoning, comes from the Greek apologia, which doesn't mean to apologize. It means to set forth or make a defense.
First of all, the rather snide, sly remark about Ted Koppel. One problem. Second problem.
Well, that's not snide either.
Well, it's not a
That's his name. That's what his name. That's what he said through college.
Koppel.
Well, a lot of people change their name or want an emphasis or pronunciation.
Well, I've changed my name too, and
why do you do that?
I've done so legally, and my name is Lassiter now, and Mr. Koppel's name is Mr. Koppel.
I wonder why people do that. That's
the name I was born with, and it's a hell of a lot easier to say Lassiter, isn't it? It's a hell of a lot easier to spell too.
It's interesting, but there's no smugness in that. But what in the book?
Why is that interesting to you?
Well, I just wonder why
Would you like to know if it's spelled S-K-I or S-K-Y?
No, I'm not taking a survey. I'm just saying, why does
I could have sworn you were.
Well, you don't want to swear, because then that makes your oath in a court of law wouldn't be any good anyway. The point is... My oath in a court of law wouldn't be any good? No, you say you could swear that I was, you just made an offhand statement there. I'm just calling you on the statement.
Figure of speech, sir.
Yeah, well, be careful what you say.
Very common.
All right, I know. Well, let's just deal with the facts here. Mm-hmm. So, what is it in the book you say that's wrong here?
Some references to the Holocaust. Chapter 5, no Jewish homeland promised today in the Bible.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly the second reason why the book was written. That the Bible
By the way, did the
nowhere.
Jews kill Christ?
No, wait a minute. You asked the question. Let me answer the question. Or do you just, what do you want to do? You want to ask the question and you answer him?
I was just doing the same as you, sir. I thought we were having give and take here.
Well, we are, but when you ask the question, I
changed my name. I'd like to know, did the Jews kill Christ?
Fine. No, well, first you asked me.
No, they did not.
First you asked me about no homeland in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So
actually, first I've talked about the remarks against the Holocaust. Then I mentioned...
Well, okay, where are the remarks for the Holocaust? Let's take it one at a time.
Where are the remarks? Well, you were the one that wrote the book here. Let me quickly go through, if I may. I'm sure I can find it again. It was some type of remark about...
There is no remark about the Holocaust in the book.
I beg your pardon. There's something in here...
there is a statement about...
to find it, about some type of Holocaust...
persecution of Jews in Europe, yes. There is a statement in there. There is no statement denying the Holocaust.
Well, until I find it, as I now have to sit here and leaf through it, because you obviously know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I wrote the book. It's not in there.
But I shall paraphrase until I find it, and it's something about a Holocaust hysteria.
No. Now here there's a sub-paragraph in there called Holocaustomania.
Ah, yes, okay.
Now, see, and you...
Oh, there it is, yes. 120, Holocaustomania.
Right. Holocaustomania. Now, what does that say? You haven't had a chance to read it, Bob, but what it says... And I'll tell you can read it and you'll find it's true.
I've read it a little bit.
Okay. That the fact that a terrible, terrible thing and the inhumanity of man against the Jews of Europe in World War II by a crazed fascist Nazi leader and party is irrelevant to justify and has no way of justifying another Holocaust-type activity against a persecution against an innocent people who had nothing to do with World War II.
I believe in that chapter you went on to ask that great question usually asked by a lot of people who are not too fond of the Jews about, why don't we celebrate here the atrocities against the Chinese, the atrocities against the Laotians, or whoever it might have been?
No, actually, I don't go on to say that. But what I do is I'll tell you here again.
Find it again,
yeah,
sir?
Find it out. As I told you earlier.
To.
What I say there is that there are other great injustices done to a number of people that we don't have such a world attention to. Why was Egypt at war? Why was Egypt at war?
Why was Egypt at war?
Under Sadat's own statements, many times.
Because the two nations have been skirmishing back and forth for 40 years.
No, for what reason?
For what reason?
Palestine. Go back to Nasser, you go back to 1918. Egypt had always been the largest Arab country with an army. That's why they were always at war with Israel. And it was all over the Palestinian issue.
Forgetting the two strongest people in the area to sit down and come up with a peace is futile?
You didn't come up with a peace. Look at it's volatile now. What happened to Sadat? What's going to happen in Egypt now with the Muslim Brotherhood?
I don't know. Sadat was killed 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, and the Muslim Brotherhood, and again, who have adopted and said you did nothing about the
Aren't you being a bit naive to think that one meeting is just going to change the entire world?
Well, if
there has not been war between those two nations since then, despite a Reagan administration that hasn't done anything, anything at all, to get the sides sitting down talking.
Well, I agree with that. That's the one statement I do agree with you. Reagan has done very little to get the sides.
Well, I'm just stunned that you would call that an exercise in futility.
No, Camp David. I told Jimmy Carter that himself.
Marvelous.
If you've read his book, The Blood of Abraham, he says the same thing now. After he's out of office, as most of our presidents, ex-presidents do speak out of office when they don't have to worry about an influence vote or whatever. Well, Mr. Carter says, I made a mistake. I should have had Palestinian representatives there. But then Begin wouldn't agree to come if I did. And the question is now, as president, and he convened a meeting, he should have kept with his convictions, but he did. I have in my hand here from the New York Times, taken May 4th, 1987. You can see it yourself here. Jews, not Zionists. This is put out by the American Nuturi Karta, a Jewish organization, Friends of Jerusalem is what it means. Rabbi Schwartz, quote, Zionists claim Jews have a right to go to Palestine and take over the land. The Jews were expelled because of their sins when God sent Moses. He'll return them to the Holy Land. Listen, Jews are not allowed to combat or dominate other peoples of the earth. Jews are opposed. Listen, this is a Jew talking. Well, her statement was that there are no Jews opposing Zionism.
If someone was listening to this program and quoted you, are you a spokesman for all Christians?
I'm a spokesman for myself.
Exactly.
This man's a spokesman of his group. No, there's the group, Friends of Jerusalem.
Whoopee-doo. New York. He's still a spokesman for himself and a handful of people.
You don't want to listen to what he said. It's relevant to the question she asked. Huh? Oh, well, then it wouldn't be Christian, would they? Because the word Christian means in Christ.
Well, they say they are.
Yeah, the word means in Christ.
They say they are.
Would you be in something you don't believe in?
They say they are.
Would you be in? Well, no, I never say I believe in Christ.
I think the point is that there are factions in every group. Well, that's the point.
The point is that the statement that was made by you and by the caller is wrong. There are Jews opposing Zionism.
Whoa, don't put words in my mouth. I never said any such thing.
Well, I guess we'll have to replay the tape again. But
I never said any such thing, Mr. Baker.
You concurred with that caller and said, I've
never said any such thing as that all Jews are in favor of Zionism or all Jews are opposed to Zionism.
Or that no Jews oppose Zionism. You didn't say that.
No, sir.
Okay, that's good. We got the record clear on the tape. But the caller did, and there's the statement.
The record has always been clear on the tape. Don't put words in my mouth.
Same here. 1987, May 4th, right there.
Again, big deal.
It is a big deal.
He speaks for himself and a handful of people.
Well, we got a list here of the 130. You want to go through them?
And besides, he is doing the exact same thing that you're doing. He's looking at the book, and that's his translation of it. You look at the book, you come up with another idea. Well, no, the covenant was already met, and it's all it's over and done with because this is the way I interpret it. You're dealing with somebody else reading the same book that doesn't make any sense who comes up with another interpretation. So what?
Now, here's a list of 65 organizations, Jewish organizations, that attend the United Nations meetings.
Why don't you show me some pictures of Martin Luther King sitting in a classroom with people that you tell me are communists? What do you mean waving a list of 65 groups?
Well, you can read them yourself. Well, the point is there are many, many Jews in America who don't support the Zionism and the state of Israel.
I'm confident of it, sir.
All right, that's the point we're making, right there. That's what we're verifying.
So what?
And Martin Luther King were here.
So what?
He would support the Palestinians, wouldn't he? I
don't know, sir.
I do.
I'm not inside of his head.
I know his statements.
Great.
I know
what he has said. I'm not inside of the man's head. I wouldn't want to even begin to try to say what he would be in favor of or what he wouldn't be in favor of.
Well, I know what he was in favor of. He was in favor of freedom and the right to pursue one's own destiny. And that's what the Palestinian people are asking.
Tom and Lutz, hi, you're on the air at WFLA. Yes, Tom.
I turned you on.
I know by accident, right.
Well, it's usually the same old flip out that I don't listen that often anymore. But I did turn you on right when you were making a statement.
Usually the same old flip out. Usually the same old flip out. What does that mean, Tom?
Well, I'll let you figure that out. I think you're a big boy now.
No, I've always been a big boy, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, what's usually the same old flip out?
So you mentioned Martin Luther King and that you were unaware of any pictures of him with communists.
No, Tom, as per usual, you didn't hear what was said.
Would you mind repeating what you said on that, Bob?
Yeah, surely, Tom. My guest was waving a list of 65 Jewish organizations in my face, and I said something rather flip to the effect of, and I suppose next you'll be showing me a picture of Martin Luther King in a classroom.
With communists?
Right.
What do you suggest that does not exist?
Oh, I know that a picture exists, Tom, of people who are purported to be communists. Did you have something you wanted to contribute to this show with this guest, Tom?
Well, yeah, I had a question.
Oh, great.
Notwithstanding, though, I'd be happy to send you, Bob, anytime you want, the affidavits.
Tom, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to get to the question for the guest and stay on topic.
Question, Bob.
Well, Tom, obviously we do know what we
mean. If Judaism is not a religion, how can you be anti-Semitic? The Palestinians are Semitic.
Who cares what you have to say? Who cares?
You don't hear what is
heard.
That went and hid in Canada. You think I care what you have to say, Wimp?
No, I've never been in Canada in my life,
Sure you did.
Tom.
You wimped out and went and hid in Canada.
No, Tom, I've never been in Canada in my life.
I mean, I really can't take you a whole lot too serious, man. You can't stand up for your own country.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make a $1 million bet with you. I will give you $1 million
Bob, you lied to me last time. You think I'm going to believe a draft dodger?
Hear me out, Tom. Hear me out. Here's how you can get $1 million of
You think I'm going to believe a draft dodger? All you've got to do, Tom, is
check. All you've got to do, Tom, is check the border crossing records, and you will find that neither Bob Lassiter nor Bob Gwodowski has ever been in Canada. And if you can come back, Tom, with documentation that I've ever been in Canada, I am making a promise on the air, on tape. I will see to it that you will get $1 million.
Allow them into the society. You allow them to be productive.
Now, where are they going to go? You hear this all across the country. Well, they ought to, those other Arab countries, why can't they become citizens? Number one, you name an Arab country that wants the Palestinians, because I said...
My God, they were their allies in the 1948 war. That's why they're in the camp.
For Palestine, not to have them come and become Lebanese or Jordanians or anything else.
We fought the war in Vietnam so the Vietnamese could have a home, and we sure invited them in here.
Vietnam's got nothing to do with your subject.
It's the same situation.
No, it isn't the same at all.
It is, exactly.
It's not historically the same.
It's what did we fight in? I got in live in this country,
wait a minute.
But we invite them in and we let them assimilate.
Were you in Vietnam, did you say?
No, I didn't. I was not.
Oh, you said we fought the war in Vietnam. I mean, I was there.
The American people fought the war in Vietnam.
Oh, and what did they fight it for? What was that dissertation? They fought it for what?
The idea was we were fighting it to make South Vietnam a free and independent country from North Vietnam.
Oh, you read the papers, and that's about it. We suffered the same fate of the French colonialists and the rest, who've always wanted to push their way into the third world countries, so-called, and monopolize and display our superiority and have these people toe our marks and economically support our economy.
The point is,
and that's what Vietnam was all about, sir.
You take the people who fought with you and assimilate them into your population. You don't set them in a camp waiting until everything changes.
When those people say, I am not Lebanese and I don't want to live in, I am not a Lebanese, I'm a Palestinian, all I ask is your aid and help until I can go back to my homeland. That's what you do if you're a true ally. And that's exactly...
help is a house in 40 acres.
What?
Give them a house in 40 acres, and
they don't want a house in 40.
Hold his head up.
They don't want a house in. They don't want a house in 1,000 acres. They're not materialists like we are. They want a homeland. They want their history. They want their culture. It means more to them than the culturalist oasis that some of us have.
That's fine for them to want it. It's fine for them to live for it, but it's not right for them to live for it in a concentration camp.
Well, I wish that now in that context I agree with you. I'm sorry they have to live that way, and they wouldn't if we could have some forward progress from the Reagan administration, for example, to say, hey, Israel, you got to sit down and talk. Forget
it isn't Israel that's holding the watch on the gates. It isn't Israel that's saying, no, you can't come into my country.
Oh, they're not.
Let them live there until the situation changes.
Sir, I am afraid you're so very uninformed on that topic. I only have 2 stacks of papers here, documents from the United Nations and everybody else who's been involved with this for 44 years, and they all seem to say the same thing, that it is, in fact, the Israeli policy government position that once the Palestinians can be removed or exported from their own lands, they are not indeed allowed back. And if you heard the whole show, you heard a caller say that they were not allowed back.
I didn't say they were allowed into Israel. What I'm saying is they need to be allowed into land where they can live as human beings.
Well, where might that be?
And not as martyrs.
Do you have some land you want to offer?
I think there's land all around there. Their allies who've been fighting Israel for all these years, and it's high time they stood up to their own responsibilities.
Well, you see, the responsibility is for those culprits who continue to support these people to be in these terrible camps that you refer to, Israeli state. If you have the courage to say that, sir, that'll be the beginning of changing this thing.
No, if you have the courage to talk about all people who have had their land stolen from them, then I should think you would have much more credibility. a first country, it's the same people.
Yeah, same people in Washington. And the point is,
if you're going to condemn the Israelis, then condemn the Reagan administration along with them.
I condemn them right here.
Yeah,
right
when your back is pressed.
No, I said it the first hour. I said Reagan is the key. That the politicians in Washington is the whole problem. The vacillation, they're political prostitutes. That's about it. And but it's not as bad as that guy that called you here for a minute ago.
No, it didn't make me squirm at all, sir.
What's another question here? Another one?
It says the Bob Lassiter Show on the top of the paper.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh,
Paul and Clearwater. Thank you very much.
Right.
Carolyn in Newport Richie. Hi, you're on the air at WFLA.
Hello, Bob.
Hi, Carolyn.
I'm enjoying your interview with Mr. Baker. I consider Mr. Baker to be a historical revisionist. Mr. Baker, early in your interview, you were talking about Zionism. Agenda used
oh, boy, you're hearing what you want to hear, lady.
Used to further the Free State of Israel.
You're hearing what you want to hear.
No, sir. Anything
Frankly, Mr. Baker, it's what I heard as well.
Exactly.
Well, what you heard me say, get back and replay your own tape here in the studio. What I said was the Holocaust has been used as a pretext.
You said propaganda, sir.
That's right. To use as what? I didn't advise. Did I deny it?
For the Free State of Israel. I heard you exactly.
No, I said it's used as an excuse for invading Lebanon. It's an excuse for the buildup of the military machine.
That is right.
To say we no more Holocaust, therefore we'll kill everyone in a preemptive strike.
Let me.
And I say to you again, that's wrong, madam. That's not America. That's not our Constitution.
Preemptive strike.
Yeah, that's the first.
There had not been attacks on Israel from Lebanon.
Here again.
For years and years. Golan Heights.
Absolutely
never been an invasion by a foreign state of Lebanon. That's right. Name one.
No, I didn't.
The only one who ever invaded.
Never been. You said the move into Lebanon was a preemptive strike. Preemptive
that's
strike
the term
implies,
used by Israel.
Preemptive strikes implies going in before there's any aggression from the other side.
That's right. Well,
there was never any aggression from Lebanon into Israel.
What are you saying Lebanon now? The point her point and question
is
Holocaust.
Said that the attack into Lebanon was a preemptive
I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Your feet's going to stay right to the fire. The question is Holocaust.
Play the tape back, Brad. I'm getting a little tired of this.
Wait a minute. Just a minute.
No, you all wait a minute. Play the tape back, Brad. Back up about 3 minutes.
Number one, I am not a revisionist of history.
Yes, sir, you are.
No, how can you say that? You have no right to say I'm a revisionist.
Because I have heard you revise it, sir.
You what?
I have heard you in this interview.
No, you're using a phrase that is known for people who are Jew haters or baiters or whatever.
I know exactly
and I am not a member of that organization.
You are a revisionist.
No, you have no right to say that.
I have
every right. You have no right to say that. You have no right. You don't even know me.
Anything which is real, sir, cannot be propaganda.
Real. That's what we're dealing with.
And the Holocaust, I point out to you, is historically documented.
We're not talking about it not being historically documented. We're talking about it being used.
As propaganda.
That's right, madam. That's a far cry from saying it's not that it didn't happen historically. I'm saying if it happened, it's tragic, it's sad, but it is no excuse for what is going on today with the military Israeli machine attacking innocent countries and Arab countries around them.
It is a real historical fact which we repeat so that it will not happen again.
So why are we perpetrating the same type of Holocaust on innocent people then?
We are not,
people.
Sir.
Oh, we're not?
And also...
wait a minute. Don't just say also.
We are not.
What do you mean we're not?
The United States of America is not in any way, shape, or form perpetrating a Holocaust on any other group of people, religious, political, or social.
Then who is it?
And if you say so, that is a lie.
No, I think I disagree with you 100%, and that's exactly why this type of speaking and this mentality mindset, I think, is exactly why the thing is allowed to go on. The American people need to hear the truth that we supplied the cluster bombs.
You are not telling the truth.
Well, yeah, you don't want it to be said, but the F-16s, the cluster bombs, and all the rest that went to blow up 17,000 the first day in the invasion by Israel of Lebanon were manufactured in the U.S., my dear, and that happens to mean my tax money. Therefore,
I believe they were also sent to Israel. I believe they were. No, not just a minute, sir. This is the Bob Lassiter show.
Well, let me finish the statement.
I'll let you finish the statement when you make a statement correctly. Those cluster bombs were sent to Israel with the proviso and with the understanding that they would only be used in a defensive posture. Yes, I grant you that they were used by Israel illegally on some certain occasions. But you are implying, sir, that they're sitting there doing this daily.
Absolutely.
Didn't you see the newscast? Didn't you hear Peter Jennings in the recent show on NBC News with Tom Brokaw, where they rehashed it all and showed again, and they caught all the flack? Surely you as a media man know the story. It was on 2 weeks ago. Here again, point blank, at the hotels, the living compounds, the refugee camps, Lebanese, all of them.
Yes, they have
That's
been
a slaughter,
used.
my friend. No.
They have been used, but your implication, sir, was that the American people were sending cluster bombs to Israel to use willy-nilly.
That's right.
That is not right.
That is true.
That is not true, sir.
It is true because the Congress allows it to be done and doesn't penalize them for doing it. Why didn't we call Israel's hand then?
But Congress may not have penalized Israel for doing it, but to say that the American people are sending cluster bombs to the Israelis to use at their discretion willy-nilly is not true.
In this country, we are the government, Mr. Lassiter.
I have one more
and
point
we have
to
tax money that goes to our Congress that they spend, and what they do really represents us. That's what's called representation. So our activities, this is the whole point, and it's a very important point, that the Arab world asks American visitors and tourists. They say, why do the American people hate us so much? And we say, the American people don't, Bob. You know what they say? The F-16s and the bombs are so loud I can't hear your words.
Well, Mr. Baker, I am appalled. The cluster bombs are used on civilians, okay?
Yes.
Well, so am I.
I am equally appalled that I don't hear anything out of you that school buses are blown up by the other side.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Bob, I have one more
Anytime.
point. May I make one more point, please?
Quickly, please,
Sure.
Carolyn.
All right.
They were the toughest hours I've probably ever put in. The 3 toughest hours I think I have probably ever put in, and there's still another one to go. That's what I meant by cruel and unusual punishment. In any event, it shall be an open hour. Of course, we can pursue along the lines that we were pursuing in the first 3 hours, even though my little brain is fried. I don't think I ever want to hear anything about Israel or Palestinians again as long as I live. Or, of course, there's always that very generous offer of the radio station's money for anyone who can prove that I've ever been in Canada. Or what else is there? I mean, you know, you've always got your Pat Robertson, and you got your abortion and your gun control, the usual talk radio type topics. Of course, there's always Jacob, whistling penises, things of that nature. Whatever, I don't care. I have no shame at all. I am beat. 99093. Red in Sulphur Springs. Hi, Red. You're on the air at WFLA.
Hey, Bob. Hate to beat you to death with this Israel.
WFLA.
Bob, you're going to be owing me $1 million, pal. I got proof. You
Great,
didn't
bring
cross
it
the border
down
in
here.
Canada legally. You crossed illegally.
Yeah, well, you got to come back too.
I like your
Bill,
Soloflex in your
Bill, you got to
garage.
come back too.
I like the Soloflex in your garage, Bob.
Right.
I do.
Get lost, you jerk. Ray.